Hi, and welcome back to your Autism Game Plan. I'm Joya Vanderlaan, a family nurse practitioner, a functional medicine specialist, and an autism mom. I get a lot of questions about heavy metals, mercury, aluminum, lead, and what effect they have on our children with autism. And a lot of questions are about how do we get the metals out? So today we're going to talk a little bit about those questions and see if I can provide some clarity for you on that. So what's the big deal about these metals? Mercury, aluminum, lead, how do they hurt our kids? Well, the first way is they take up receptor spots where other minerals should be binding, and that can cause a deficiency in those other minerals. Think about things like zinc, copper, and iron. Those can then not dock on receptor sites if aluminum, mercury, or lead, or other heavy metals, are occupying the receptor sites. So this can then lead to a deficiency in those other minerals. And as you know, if you've watched my other videos on, for instance, zinc or anemia, there's lots of symptoms that our kids can experience or are experiencing from these mineral deficiencies. So we definitely do not want heavy metals in our children's systems at all. Our bodies are really good at protecting ourselves from toxicity, mostly. What happens with heavy metals? Let's, for instance, talk about lead. When someone is exposed to lead, child or adult, the body's tendency, its way of protecting itself, is to tuck lead away in the brain and in the bones. Now, that does prevent it from circulating in the blood and causing more damage, more symptoms, more inflammation. However, it's in the brain, it's in the bones. It should not be there. Calcium should be the main mineral in the bones, not lead, and bones with lead in them are not as strong as bones with calcium. It definitely shouldn't be in the brain. A brain full of heavy metals is a brain that is not going to function well. Think about our kids and the symptoms they experience. A lot of those symptoms are neurological symptoms. And so it's no wonder that a lot of us wonder about heavy metal exposure and heavy metal toxicity for our kids. So where are our kids getting these metals? Well, one source is from food and water. A lot of the pipes that feed water into our houses, even in today's day and age, are lead pipes. Doesn't only happen in certain areas, it's more common than we think. You can get your water tested to find out if that's an issue for you. Also, mercury comes from fish, especially the larger fish, so things like tuna. So what you really want to do is eat the smaller fish, maybe like salmon, and make sure that they're wild caught and not farm raised. So you can do a few things diet-wise to decrease your child's heavy metal burden or risk of toxicity of heavy metals. Certain supplements, especially those coming from China or India, so traditional Chinese medicine formulations or Ayurvedic formulations, are notoriously contaminated with heavy metals, particularly lead. We don't want those in our kids. We've got to be really careful what we're putting in our children's bodies, whether that's something we're giving them orally, something we're injecting, other medications or supplements, foods that we're giving. We really want to be conscious and do the best we can for our kids. So information is power. Make sure you're investigating what are the things, medications, supplements that I'm giving my child, and is there a risk for heavy metal contamination in these things? Getting the metals out. It's a whole other realm, a whole other knowledge base that we often don't know about, and it's very scary because we want to help our kids, but we don't know how. So getting the metal out, first, of course, you want to eliminate the source. Where is your child getting exposed? Or maybe it was in the past and so they're not currently getting exposed. Is it food? Is it water? Is it supplement, medications, injections? Where is it coming from? Eliminate the source. Our kids are getting rid of metals like anything else by primarily pooping them out. So we want to make sure that their GI system is moving, they're not constipated, and they're having good bowel movements at least once, maybe even twice, 3 times per day. There are certain supplements out there like zeolite, chlorella, cilantro, different clays, charcoal that can help decrease the total body burden of toxic metals and other things. Those things are very helpful for certain children. I will warn you though, it's not the best place to start. When you first are learning about functional medicine for helping your autistic child, it's not the first place to start. The first place to start is with things like diet and very specific kind of baseline supplements, gut health, all of this sort of stuff, all of which I talk about at length in my course that will be coming out in about a month or so. IV chelation therapy is another option if you know that your child has a toxic level of heavy metals. Again, this is not something that you would do first. We've got to have these other essentials in place first. You do want to, of course, test first for heavy metals if you're going to go down the IV chelation route and work with somebody who has experience and expertise in doing this, especially in doing this with children. So heavy metal chelation is never the first step for a child with autism. There are parents who have experienced a lot of success following the Cutler chelation protocol with their children. This focuses more on oral supplementation to help pull the heavy metals out. And while it may be effective, it takes a very, very long time and gives very, very low doses of supplements, which is a good thing. It takes a very long time and it involves waking your child up overnight, maybe a couple times, to give these supplements on a very strict schedule, sometimes every 4 hours. And so you really want to talk with somebody. If you're concerned about heavy metals in your child, you really want to talk to somebody with expertise to determine, what is the best plan of action here. Chelating your child is really not something that you should be doing independently at home. If you're curious where to start with your child in terms of a more holistic, functional, or integrative approach to their autism and symptoms of autism, make sure that you subscribe to my email newsletter. You'll be the first to know about when my course is coming out. My course is going to come out in about a month or so, and it will cover the 5 essential things that are going to be most helpful, give you the most bang for your buck when you are starting all of this with your child. So this is just a very, very short introduction to heavy metals. There's so much more to it. And again, this is not something that you want to do independently with your child at home without expertise and help. And it's not the first thing you should be doing. Thanks for watching. And remember, be gentle with yourself. You're doing a great job.